How many times have you heard that aggressive dieting is a fad diet? Just losing weight and then people regain it back straight after, right? Fad diet, that's what people say. And then people say, okay, you should lose weight a lot slower. Well, in this video, I want to tell you why you might actually want to do aggressive dieting. So first, let's lay the context out, right? So number one, are we talking about a bodybuilder that's already 10% body fat, kind of almost like ripped already? Or are we talking about a general guy, which probably most of you are, not saying like you're a general guy, but you get the point. A person like myself that wants to get in really, really good shape, right? That's maybe on a higher end of body fat percentage, maybe about, let's say 12 to 15%, even a bit higher. And before I get into the real details, one thing I have to say though is that when I'm talking about aggressive dieting, I'm not talking about this is the only way to diet, right? This is a strategy, a tool in a toolbox, just like any other diet, right? So one thing I have to point out right at the start of the video is that you need to learn how to eat at maintenance calories, because the goal of this is to diet as aggressively as you can to get to that goal body weight and then go on a maintenance diet. And this aggressive diet is not going to be for a long period of time either. It's just going to get those few pounds off maintenance, and then maybe you want to take it slower. So if you're a bodybuilder and you're on the fluffier side, why not start with a bigger calorie deficit? There is no harm in that. Like, if you can't see your abs, you're telling me you're going to lose muscle by being on a 500 to 1000 calorie deficit? Unlikely so, obviously depending on your body weight. But start off aggressively, then we can come smaller calorie deficit in order to maintain the most amount of lean mass as possible. And notice I'm saying lean mass, not fat-free mass. Okay, so here are some numbers that you can take and seeing how much weight you can lose per week. So you can either go with 13, 15 or 20 or anywhere around there. These are just based on Ronald McDonald's, Martin McDonald's and Greg Knuckles', basically numbers, right? The magic numbers. But if you're on the more pessimistic side that you're gonna lose muscle, man, then choose 20. Or if you're like, man, let's do this, pick 13, the more aggressive approach. Now, how do you do this? Well, let's say I'm 15% body fat and I want to choose about the middle range of Martin McDonald's number, so I will choose 15. Now, what I do is I divide my body fat percentage, which is 15, divided by the multiplier, which in this case is 15. Now, that's going to give me 1. Yeah, I can do math, simple maths, man, I got this. Oh, I put it on a calculator before, obviously, but anyway, that's going to give me 1. Now, that means I lose 1% of my body weight per week, which is quite a lot. Let's say 200 pounds, I can lose 2 pounds per week. Now, one thing I will say is that adaptive thermogenesis will take place, which obviously means, or some people say metabolic damage, but it's not really that. Metabolism is just slowing down a little bit. Another thing that we also really have to understand is that the fat tissue will also provide the energy demands. That's why I said the fluffier, the higher body fat percentage you are, the more likely you can just go on this aggressive, should we call it a mini cut, or just starting your diet off aggressively, because you have more fat storage, and fat storage is also an energy source as well. So your body utilizes this fat for energy, hence why you're not going to lose muscle mass, if of course you're resistance training. So if you look at a few studies that look at, you know, muscle loss and then a calorie deficit being very large, well, most of the time, and actually in a lot of studies, these people are not resistance training, and nor is their protein intake relatively high. Now, what protein intake should you have? I'd recommend probably anywhere between 1 to about 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. The reason you don't want to go any higher is because you want to meet the fat requirements, the fat demands for hormone, brain function, and you also don't want to consume very, very low carbohydrates, as that is going to affect the recovery of your workouts and even just the performance during your workout. So don't make your protein like extremely high of about 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. Or at least should I say there are some pros and cons of that. So like I said at the start of the video, the key word there was fat-free mass and then lean mass, right? So what fat-free mass is anything that is not fat, hence in the name. So this is literally like tendons and ligaments, water, a glycogen. It's a lot of different things. It's not muscle in particular, which a lot of people think, right? And if you look at a lot of these studies, they aren't using direct measurements, right? So they're using DEXA, they're using BODYPOD, probably not BODYPOD, but they're using underwater weighing, and these aren't probably the best compartment models. So they're looking for a fat-free mass and then fat mass. So only 2 compartment models. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to go too in depth in that, but you want to use something more of a direct measurement like ultrasound and MRI. So just before I end this video, one thing I have to mention is that the amount of muscle loss that will occur will probably get larger or increase the likelihood the leaner you get, especially if your deficit is larger. So keep it a smaller calorie deficit the leaner you get. The primary reason why you probably lose muscle the leaner you get is because, like I always say, less calories equals less muscle protein synthesis. Now, we all know that to gain muscle, the primary reasons would be a higher muscle protein synthetic rate than muscle protein breakdown. Now, obviously, if your muscle protein synthesis rates are a bit lower, then that's going to increase the likelihood of losing more muscle mass. So the 3 factors to consider if you're going to go on an aggressive dieting phase. Number 1 is if you're at a higher body fat percentage, I'd probably recommend starting off aggressively and then slowly making your calorie deficit a lot smaller. Number 2 is your personality type. So if you're someone like me that likes to go aggressive on things and not take the slower approach, maybe I'd recommend the aggressive dieting for you. It's probably maybe a good option, like I said, to start off with. And number 3, the most important thing is learning how to eat at maintenance calories. This video will be a fad kind of diet video if you do not learn how to eat at maintenance, because you're using this aggressive diet as a tool to get to your body weight or your goal body weight. If you don't have that much to lose, then eat at maintenance, and then maybe you can go on a slower fat loss phase. Because let's say you have like 50 pounds to lose. Well, if you're just going on a very small calorie deficit, well, you might need to be dieting for 1 to 2 years, which is going to be very discouraging for a lot of people. So that's the end of the video. Question of the day: do you recommend aggressive dieting to people, or do you think you're going to do an aggressive dieting phase soon? If not, then I don't know, quit the video, man. No, I'm joking. Subscribe to the channel only if you like to use science to get jacked on a daily. Stay positive, stay smiling, and as always, let's get it. I'll see you in the next one.